Hello YouTube, Dave here again. I am back with another new game stuff slash pickup video. I think it's been a little while since last time I did one of these. I honestly can't tell for sure because my conception of the passage of time has just been really off lately. Anyway, I've got some cool things here that I want to show off. Some things were sent to me by Paizo that I'm going to start the video with, but I have picked up a few things on my own here as well. So yeah, let's just sort of dive right into it here. So from Paizo, one of the first things here, I don't think I've shown this in a video yet. If I have, then I apologize. But if not, I'm going to, regardless, I'm going to show it here anyway. But this is a Pathfinder 2nd Edition standalone adventure, and this is the Enmity Cycle. So this is, like I said, when it comes to the standalone adventures, they tend to be a little bit more I guess unique in terms of like the ideas in the storylines. Like you had the Fall of Plaguestone, which was really built around alchemy and sort of introducing the fact that like alchemy and the alchemist was a new part of Pathfinder 2nd Edition. You had like one of the best haunted house adventures that I think I've ever read, at least for a very, very long time. Then you had, I think it was the Night of Grey Death. The Night of Grey Death was, so that Malevolence was like the haunted house one, but the Night of Grey Death was this really interesting situation where you had this like ritual being planned around this like sort of evil, intelligent, or at least somewhat intelligent guillotine artifact that whenever it was used to execute somebody, it would trap their soul. And if once reached a certain number, then some bad things were going to happen. So just like the standalone adventures are usually pretty interesting, or at least they're a bit more outside of the box, I guess, than sort of like some of the adventure paths. Just because the adventure paths have to tell their story and keep people engaged for like 3 to 6 volumes. But the Enmity Cycle is really interesting because it starts with the players sort of searching for some missing individuals. Each of these individuals are well-known, like artists of some type, like you have playwrights and, individuals like that. And it turns out that they were working on creating a play that was meant to be like magically enhanced to try to have sort of like a city that's sort of divided, or a region that's sort of divided, to try to bring them together. But this outsider being that lives to create chaos ends up sort of warping it, and it could cause, if the play proceeds, can cause it to actually like magically influence people to like sort of divide themselves even further from one another. It's just a really cool adventure. I know I'm not really doing it justice here in this video, but I will be doing a review for it here in the near future. But yeah, the Enmity Cycle and the standalone adventures all come with a flip mat with a couple of the locations that are used in the adventure, including like the amphitheater where the play takes place. So yeah, some really cool stuff there. Speaking of maps, we also have the Darklands Dangers multi-pack. So I'll be showing this off again in another video. I think I'm going to do one showing just a few different maps. Now that I can actually take like really good screenshots and have an editing software that allows me to overlay screenshots on top of the video, it's going to make doing these maps reviews for them a lot easier, because I don't have the table space to actually unfold them and be able to record them on camera, but I can take screenshots of them and put them up on screen here. So anyway, so this looks, again, really, really cool. So you can sort of have like your Underdark, under subterranean region, and you have like one with a stream running through it. You have some lava flows and what looks like maybe like a mushroom grotto or something, but really cool stuff. All right, up next, and again, I don't know if I've shown one of these or two of these off yet, but I'm just going to lay them out here in this video, and that is going to be the Stolen Fate Adventure Path. So this is a 3-part Adventure Path arc, and I've noticed that Paizo is focusing a lot more now on the 3-part adventure paths, and I am absolutely all in for that. The 6-part adventure paths are great, but they are like, for Pathfinder, they're a full level 1 to 20 campaign, and that can be a lot sometimes. So I'm a huge fan of these 3-part ones because they're a bit shorter, And it's a little bit easier for me as somebody who would run like a game like this once a month to be able to actually get through and, complete the storyline, within like a year. But yeah, so the Stolen Fate, this one is actually really, really cool because it revolves around the Harrow deck, which is essentially like the Pathfinder version of the Deck of Many Things. And one of my favorite 4th edition D&D adventures that I never actually got a chance to run. I was setting up to run it, but the group, this was sort of around the time where I was really suffering from burnout, and I had sort of an uncooperative couple of players that wanted nothing to do with an adventure involving the Deck of Many Things. But regardless, so this is sort of like, again, the cards in the Harrow deck have separated from each other, and they're using like the effects of the cards are causing issues, and you've got like people trying to collect them all and sort of reform them. And anyway, it's a really cool adventure path involving one of my favorite artifacts or relics or whatever you want to call it of all time. So it's a 3-part adventure arc or adventure path, and all 3 parts are currently available, and I will definitely be talking about this at some point in the near future. All right, another book that came out for Pathfinder 2nd edition. This is a Lost Omens book. This is the Lost Omens High Helm. And so this is one of like the major dwarven settlements in all of Golarion. So this is sort of your like dwarven regional source book. And again, I've only been able to read through a little bit of it so far, but I really like it. It goes into like the dwarven culture and society, like their caste systems. It's kind of neat how they have like the 3 different tiers of castes that identify themselves by a different type of metal. So you have, at the lowest level, you have the iron castes, and the dwarves have what's called a clan dagger that they obtain when you start like adventuring with them. And what I kind of like about the way that they're presented here is they use whatever metal they're associated with. So they like the iron caste, so they're kind of like your lower level, like miners and stuff like that. But they would actually take their clan dagger and they would incorporate iron sort of into the hilt in a design that sort of stands out. Then you have the steel caste. So that's sort of like the next step above, so they would do the same thing. And then at the top end, you have like the gold caste. So they would have like elements of gold sort of incorporated into their clan daggers. Anyway, it's just a neat concept, and yeah, really cool book. So I'm looking forward to reading more of it here, and there will be a review of this coming up pretty shortly. So those were the items that were sent to me. I've also pre-ordered a few items. I'm not going to talk about them too much here because it's probably going to be a little while before I get them all, and they'll all arrive at different times. But I will say, I did a pre-order from my local game store for the starter set for the Pendragon role-playing game that Chaosium is putting out. This is like the newest version that they're releasing, that they're publishing. I've also done a pre-order for Free League, a couple of things. One is the Alien RPG Building Better Worlds book, which is the campaign play for like colonists. So I am currently, or hope to restart, get it back up and going here probably by the end of summer. But I'm running the Colonial Marines, like the campaign for that. But truthfully, the colonist one, with like the Weyland-Yutani representatives and some of like the Roughnecks and like those types of characters, I think that book is going to be awesome. So I'll probably have to discuss it with my group to see if they'd rather play colonists, where they can sort of choose different professions, or if they want to stick to the Marine campaign where everybody's playing a Marine. But I have that pre-ordered. That won't be here until the fall sometime, mid to late fall. But I also ordered the Dragonbane role-playing game from Free League as well, so that's going to come in like a box set. I do have the PDF for that when you order stuff from like Chaosium or from Free League. They also will send you a PDF copy, like you get that for free along with your purchase. So I've been looking into that a little bit, and I got to say I'm kind of looking forward to giving that a try as well. But those are pre-ordered. They're not in yet. I don't have them in my possession, but I am looking forward to those. So they'll appear in future videos. But now for the things that I purchased myself that I actually have in my possession. The first one here is actually not RPG related strictly, but this is the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom actual like game guide, so like the strategy guide. So the game came out a little while ago, and I pre-ordered the strategy guide at the same time. I had initially ordered the softcover version, but they did have some leftover hardcover books in stock, and because I pre-ordered the game and bought it at that same store, they had a record of the sale, and I was able to get, I think it was like 20% off or something like that. So it was actually not a bad discount. But yeah, so this is the strategy guide for the game, and I got to be honest, it's been a little while since I picked this one up, so it might be nice to have this to help out just a little bit in case I end up getting stuck. But yeah, I love strategy guides. I'm glad to see them start to come back. Because one of the main companies that was putting them out, like, they disappeared a few years ago, and it was kind of sad. Another non-role-playing game related thing, but some things that I picked up here, is issue 1 and 2 of the latest Alien comics from Marvel. Their latest storyline here. So I've read the 2 issues, but it sort of has a group, like a family living on sort of like a far out of the way, very like harsh environment planet, and they discover some xenomorphs frozen in the ice, and then you have Weyland-Yutani representatives come and cause a lot of problems. So I love Alien. Like, it's one of my favorite franchises of all time. So and I'm not a huge comic fan, but I absolutely love these. All right, so speaking of some purchase items, we're finally getting into some stuff that's actually related to RPGs, although they're not necessarily RPG products in of themselves. The first one here, I was wearing this like the other day, so it does need to be washed, but it should still be fine. But I actually picked up this Dungeons & Dragons t-shirt. This was a little while ago, actually. But I got this from Sunrise Records, sort of like a music store. They sell like CDs, records, DVDs, Blu-rays, and all kinds of like t-shirts and stuff. But I just absolutely love this shirt. It just looks sort of like an old-timey poster. But you got like the red dragon in the middle, then you have the mimic and the beholder with some dice kind of scattered around. And it's just a different colored shirt. And most of the shirts that I have are black, just because most the shirts that I would want to wear, they usually print them in black anyway. But it's nice to have a little bit of different colors here, and it's meant to look like it's faded. That's the way that it came. But yeah, it's a really cool shirt, and I love it. So we have that. And I also picked this up from EB Games, or GameStop, I guess it's called now. And I'm hoping that they do more of these characters, but I picked up another t-shirt with Kellic. I think it's Kellic, the evil wizard. So this is from like the LJN toy line, like the action figures from way back in the 80s. You also had like Warduke and Strongheart and characters like that. Yeah, I'm really hoping they do a Warduke shirt. They didn't have anything listed on their like their website for orders or anything. But yeah, I haven't actually worn this shirt yet, but it's really, really cool. I love these like old school LJN figures, characters, so I hope they do more. Like I said, I would absolutely love to have a Warduke shirt. All right, so 3 things left, and these first 2 are related. So I had some credit built up on DM's Guild, which is part of Drive-Thru RPG, and the DM's Guild just focuses on like Dungeons & Dragons stuff specifically. You can get print on demand. It's not just for like Adventurers Guild PDFs or stuff like that. You can actually order print-on-demand items, and there was a couple of books there that I missed out on back in the day, and I've sort of been kicking myself ever since, and I really wanted to add to my collection. So these are from the pre-4th edition D&D era, like when 4th was on its way out, and these are sort of like behind-the-scenes books to sort of go over the decision-making and the rationale behind some of the changes that they made in 4th edition. So we have Wizards Presents Races and Classes for a 4th edition preview book, and the Worlds and Monsters preview book. So I got these, like I said, print on demand from DM's Guild, and like I've been wanting to have these for quite a while. So I'm going to do a separate video on these. But like I said, it just goes over like certain concepts and ideas, and it's like, again, just the reason that they wanted to sort of make the decisions that they made. They talk about things like wanting to like rebalance races so that they can get rid of things like effective character level, which they admitted was not the greatest solution for things back in the 3rd edition days, as well as like some of the reason behind like the design elements for the creatures. Anyway, these are really cool books, and as somebody who loves 4th edition, And 4th edition is one of, if not my favorite version of the D&D game, just because it's so different, but it's fun to run. It's fun to design things like encounters. The encounter design guidelines in 4th edition are probably some of the best that Wizards of the Coast has ever done, and I don't know why they strayed away from it with the 5th edition rule. Just the design, the encounter design for 5th edition is not good. But anyway, these books are pretty cool, and I'm going to be talking about those in a separate video. And then finally, there was a local convention here in the Annapolis Valley. It was called King Con, like King for Kings County and like Con for convention, obviously. And it's put on by a group that's primarily into like board games and strategy, like war game stuff. But it was still kind of cool to go to. I'm looking forward to going again next year. I was hoping to run an Alien game, like from the core rulebook. Unfortunately, though, I started having some issues with my back, and my knee was starting to really bug me because we were going to be getting rain later that day, and that's how I know when we're going to be in for some weather. Anyway, I had to end up backing out. Luckily, nobody, like, the RPGs weren't getting as much attention as some of the other stuff there. And nobody had signed up for my game yet, so I was just like, okay, I got to pull this because I got to go home. I'm kind of in rough shape. But anyway, when I was there, they had a water bottle with some coupons inside of it from some local businesses. And one of them was for a store called Rainbow's End, which is in Wolfville, Nova Scotia. It has anything you can think of. They have some RPG stuff, they have some new stuff, they have some old stuff, they have like collectibles, books, manga, comics, DVDs, VHS, like some sports memorabilia, cards. Like you could spend hours looking around in there. So if you're ever in like the Wolfville, Nova Scotia area, then definitely check it out. It's Rainbow's End. I think it's on Main Street. Or it's on the main street, but I can't remember if it's called Main Street because it's named different things in different towns and villages and stuff. But anyway, I actually had a coupon for a discount from something from there. So we went to see what they had, and what caught my attention was this here. So this is Tyrants of the Underdark. This is a card-based kind of board game thing where you are members of, you sort of take on the role of like some of the different drow houses, and you're competing against each other to basically become like the #1 house in all of Menzo Berenzin. And yeah, it looks neat. I never picked it up back in the day, and I was, this is Canadian prices, so, $56 Canadian, but I did have the discount, so it did come to, a little bit, it was a little bit of a better price, but it was something that I was willing to I wanted to get something, and they didn't really have vendors at the convention. They had a table where people could bring stuff in to sell, and there was a lot of like used board games, which I wasn't overly interested in, and they did have a bunch of D&D books, but they were all 5th edition, which I owned, all of the ones that they had, and they had two, at least on the day that I was there, they had 2 3rd edition D&D books, but I also owned both of those, so I wasn't really able to buy anything there, so I felt like I had to buy something based off of this convention, so I ended up picking this up. So it's really cool. It's a board game, which will probably sit on my shelf forever, and I might get luckily to play it once, but anyway, I will be doing an unboxing video at some point in the future for this as well, and sort of showing off the contents there. But anyway, those were some of the things that I've added to my collections over the last month or two, or smattering of like in the last 3 months. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what are some of the cool things that you guys have managed to find and add to your collections, or just some cool things that you came across even if you didn't actually pick them up yourself. That's totally fine as well. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Until then, take care.